Hello everybody. Today I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison of the Bentgo versus the Kinsho Kids bento style lunchboxes so you can see which one might work better for you. So these are pretty similar. In fact, they're both reusable lunchboxes with a divided inside. Bentgo is a pretty popular brand. You may have seen it, and Kinsho is a competitor. I bought both of these on Amazon, and the reason that I bought the Kinsho one was that it was about $10 cheaper than the Bentgo at the time. So hopefully with this review, you can see if the extra price is warranted or which one of these two you might prefer. They're pretty similar in size. So looking at the Bentgo box, it's about, let's see, that's 5. So it's about 8 inches across. And in this direction, it looks about 6 inches. And then the height is about 2 inches tall. The Kinsho is ever so slightly smaller, maybe just a half an inch less wide in that dimension, but other than that, pretty similar in size. Let's start out looking at the Bentgo. We have these two latches here. You open up the latches, and then inside there's this divided container. This container part comes out, so you can wash this inner part in the dishwasher, and then the outer part you're recommended to wash by hand. The reason they don't want you to wash this in the dishwasher is I think these silicone seals, over time, they'll get brittle. And so I generally wash this part by hand. This is made out of number 7 ABS plastic. It says in here, dishwasher safe, can be refrigerated, and all that good stuff. And so you pack your lunch in here, put it in the refrigerator, and it's ready to go the next morning. Very similar on that Kinsho box. Again, open up with the two latches, and then you have this container that can be, or this divided container rather, that can be removed to pack the lunch in. You put it right back in here and then wash the outer part by hand. And then there's these rubberized seals up at the top that will keep it, fairly watertight. There's some water in there. That's because I just washed the lunchbox. So as you can see, the main difference between these two is really the geometry on the inside, the configuration of the divided boxes. With the Bentgo, your largest container is this rectangular portion over here, and then you have like a long one and then a really small one, and then this one over here. This rectangular container, let's measure that. It's about 3 inches wide, about 4 3/4 tall, and then the height is a little harder to measure. Let's see. It's about 1.5 inches tall. With the Kinsho container, your largest piece is on the bottom here, and I'll go ahead and measure that. It's about a little less than just about 2 inches in that dimension. Width-wise, it looks like about 7 inches, and then the height, similarly about 1.5 inches tall. So why might you choose one configuration over the other? Well, the Bentgo box over here lends itself better to sandwiches. If you're in the habit of making a sandwich and cutting it in half, that half of a sandwich or a stack of sandwich will fit better in here. Now, depending on how tall your sandwiches are, sometimes if you put 2 halves of a sandwich on top of each other and then close the lid, it will compress them down a little bit. But I have been able to fit 2 halves of the sandwich in there without too much problem, maybe just a little bit of squishing. Then you can put crackers in here, fruits, whatever it is that you want. You can put a little treat here or some dipping sauce. You can use these other configuration of containers however you want. With this Kinsho box, it's a little bit harder to fit a sandwich in because, as I mentioned, this bottom container is only about 2 inches in height. So unless you have like really small bread that's exactly 4 inches and you cut it in half, it's gonna be difficult to fit the 2 halves of a sandwich in there. I've done a workaround, so basically I'll take the sandwich and cut it into quarters, and then I'll just kind of line the quarters up in here, or you can put the quarters in here. Either way, that will work all right. So if you're in the habit of making sandwiches a lot, you might prefer this shape because it lends itself nicer to a sandwich half. But either one will work. I've found a workaround for it as I've described. So, overall, these have both been really great. They've stood up to a full school year's use so far. They've been banged around a lot in the backpack. This outer rubberized portion is getting a little scuffed up. It's getting a little dirty, but they're still really going strong. And likewise with the Kinsho one, it has this rubberized area all the way around that kind of protects it from your, inevitable bumps and scrapes in the backpack. Now, one thing that I haven't experimented much with these lunch boxes, I haven't really put super wet things inside them. So I haven't filled these with applesauce or yogurt or something, you know, really almost like liquidy. Generally, I do sandwiches, dry snacks, fruits, and things like that. So I can't speak to exactly how watertight that they are. According to the manufacturers, it should be okay with applesauce and yogurt and such. But I just figured that, you know, once I had packed this in my kid's backpack, by the time lunchtime comes around, this thing has been sort of up, down, and sideways, and I didn't really want it to have, you know, kind of applesauce or yogurt goo all around the top. So I've just kind of avoided doing that. There's a little blacked out area here. That's just my kid's name for privacy. I decided to put a little label over it. So final thoughts here. They're both really great lunch boxes. We've used them almost every school day this past year. If price is really important for you, then I would just go ahead and recommend the Kinsho box. When I purchased it anyway, it was about $10 cheaper than the Bentgo box. The Bentgo one is super sturdy, lends itself nicely to sandwiches. In closing, I recommend them both highly. It's made packing the lunches pretty easy, pretty fun, good for portion control, very, very sturdy. Bentgo or Kinsho, which one's right for you? You decide. Enjoy your bento-style kids' lunchboxes.